Yeah, I mean, I think that uh, you want to be using them rationally, and most people don't. Most people have no idea that there are consequences. For instance, like reduced attention span, in the case of social media, reduced life satisfaction, reduced mental health. Um, and so they're blinded essentially by the short-term kicks that they get from checking their texts or checking social media. And when they're not considering the consequences, it seems rational. It seems like, okay, this is something we should do. But when you become aware of the consequences, it becomes like a little bit less clear. So for most people, I would say that they are in that gray area. But if they, read more on the topic, they'll realize that there are consequences that are subtle, and then they'll be more motivated to change their behavior. But but yeah, I mean, I think that if it's preventing you from focusing and like getting work done efficiently, and you find yourself constantly stressed, you have difficulty sleeping, then I think it's worth wondering whether or not you're addicted to the constant distraction and stimulation. And it's probably worth doing a detox, or gradually scaling back and trying to focus on improving your life in the real world. Um, it really does help to look at the science, though, because it really is clear that that a lot of this stuff makes it harder to focus, makes it harder to work, makes us less happy. And I can get into that if you want, like why that's the case. Um, but for some people though, maybe it's fine. Like that behavior is fine. But if you have certain goals that you think you're not able to reach because of your behavior, it's probably worth thinking that you should change your behavior. So rather than thinking about addiction and non-addiction, I think it's worth thinking about what is like a rational amount of use. Um, uh, Although, I will say I think some people are addicted to the random distraction and stimulation. So people are addicted, at least this is how the people in science think about it. They're finding themselves doing something that is causing them harm and that they're unsuccessful at stopping. So they recognize it's harmful, they try stopping, and they can't stop. And that was my case, and based on what I've read, it seems to be the case of many people. So I think you can use it in a very controlled way. It's very hard though, because these companies benefit basically from you being addicted. But if you do certain things like for instance in social media, if you just stop checking notifications. I mean, if you're an influencer, it may be different because you want us to use commenting on your things and such. But if you're just a normal person, you stop checking notifications. That gives you great distance from addiction, because you basically push yourself out of addiction to variable reward, which for many, many years has been known to be very addicting, whether it's the slot machines, or whatever. And so with notifications on social media, you have no idea when they're going to come. And they're rewarding though, because they reduce anxiety about who's interacted with your profile publicly, which for sure, it's easy to be concerned about that. But you need to push back and have the greater benefit of controlling it, not being addicted to notifications really, which I think is the essence. And yeah, you maybe you don't see who likes your picture or whatever, but for me, I haven't checked notifications in 2 years, and I've only once almost missed an event that was planned exclusively through Facebook. And even then, in the gym, I saw a friend, and he told me about the event later that night, and I made the event. So so that you let the notifications just pile up. They go to 99, they go back to 0. You don't touch them, and then all of a sudden, I feel like it's very easy to be less addicted. At the same time, though, you can only get so much out of changing your behavior with social media and all these other things. You also need to make your real life more stimulating and meaningful, because often that's probably just as important as these sort of psychological traps we fall into. If your real life if you spend effort making it more meaningful, like you pursue your interests, you have great relationships, theoretically the opportunity cost of your time is higher, and the impulse to distract yourself and escape is less. Obviously, it's really hard to do. We all struggle with that. I'm still struggling with that, but it's very important to make sure your real life is strong. Otherwise, it's just you're fighting an uphill battle.